Good afternoon and welcome to the press conference around the consultation of the IMF with Austria. As we can see, the access to virtual participation has made much of our colleagues from the print and other media stay at home. Welcome you on the other side of the screen. Welcome to this press conference. It is a press conference which is an annual ritual, but I would like to explain a little bit what is a bit behind it. Article IV Konsultation form a major part of the participation of every country who is a member of the IMF. Because Article IV, as it said in the Article IV, it is stipulated that the IMF staffer should consult with each country, typically every year, in order to provide an assessment of the economic situation, come forward with suggestions, critique, and also encouragements. And when it takes place, this is often linked a little bit with the political cycle. Now we had to wait a little bit before the new government is formed, so it takes place now and not a bit earlier as it was originally planned. And what has happened is that the team, which is led by Mr. Fletcher, but includes also other members, 3 other members of his team here, they visit Austria and talk, if we call the list, to some 22 institutions, of course, research institutes, Mr. Finance, but other institutions, in order to form their impression, also based on data, what they receive about the economic situation. And it started on April 8th, it ends tomorrow officially, and during these days, almost 2 weeks, it's hard work for the team there, in which they talk in the evening, they try to put the information together. And it ends with a press conference in which the preliminary findings of the mission team is presented. This is what Kevin Fletcher will do today. But this is not the end of it. As you know, a written report is produced at home because then they have time to go into the details and write it. Then re-receiving again for comments, and then, the report is published again through the press. This is the process there. And I think it's an important process, whether it is a developing country, emerging economy, or an industrial country, because we all profit from being challenged in our opinion. We learn, but also we are able to inform. So it's a process which every country should espouse, and most of them do espouse, not all of them. And now we're looking all forward to Kevin Fletcher. Thank you very much for presenting his main findings. And then we open up the discussion, which will be led by Madame Schröder. Thank you. Please, Mr. Kerr.
Thank you, Governor, and thanks to all of you for being here this afternoon for the press conference. It's a pleasure to be back here in Austria for our annual Article IV consultation. As the Governor explained, this is an exercise that we hold with every member country, typically on an annual basis. And the objective is to have discussions with key economic institutions in Austria, including the Austrian National Bank, the Ministry of Finance, the Financial Market Authority, and other key economic ministries and authorities, as well as with a broad range of civil society, including businesses, financial institutions, labor and business representatives, think tanks, and academics. The goal of these discussions is to update our assessment of the economic outlook for Austria, as well as the key risk around this outlook. And equally important, the goal is also to provide suggestions on how policies can improve the outlook and reduce risk. We've just published our preliminary findings in our concluding statement that hopefully you have received. And as the Governor mentioned, we expect to publish our final and more detailed report in a few months. While you have the statement, let me briefly highlight a few key points. First, Austria faces a challenging economic environment. The Austrian economy has contracted for the last 2 years, and we expect also we'll have little or negative growth again this year, unfortunately. And the outlook is further complicated by heightened global economic uncertainty and also the need to undertake significant fiscal adjustment over the medium term to reduce high deficit levels and put the debt to GDP ratio on a downward path. Nonetheless, Austria retains strong institutions and policy frameworks that equip it well to deal with these challenges. In our view, macroeconomic policy should include at least 3 key priorities and objectives. First, it's important to undertake a gradual, high-quality fiscal adjustment measures in order to rebuild buffers and offset rising spending pressures from population aging and other needs. The government has taken a first step in this direction with its consolidation plan for 2025, but further measures will be needed in the coming years. Options for significant savings include restraining public sector pensions and public sector wage cost, both of which are somewhat high by EU standards, cutting environmentally harmful subsidies, and increasing land property taxes, which are relatively low by international standards, among other measures as mentioned in our statement. Such measures should also be complemented by bold reforms to strengthen Austria's growth potential. In this regard, one of the most important things that Austria can do is to support a deepening of the EU single market, as this is critical to help better leverage economies of scale and boost growth across Europe and in Austria. Other pro-growth reform priorities include easing regulatory barriers and permitting bottlenecks and increasing labor supply, including by expanding access to childcare and elder care to reduce barriers to women's full-time employment. Finally, it will be important also to maintain prudent macroprudential policy settings and strong financial sector supervision as detailed further in our statement. I think with these brief opening remarks, I welcome any comments or questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Are there any questions from the journalists here or online? I don't see any hands. Yeah? François Murphy, Reuters.
I actually have a question on a different topic, if that's okay.
Sure. I'll do my best.
Sorry, just how can I put it?
Yes.
Bigger events occurring elsewhere. Governor, I was wondering if the announcement of the US move on tariffs has any impact on your view on ECB rates and what needs to happen on that front at the next meeting.
It's for you, for me. It's for me.
It's for you, I'm afraid, yeah.
Thanks for this surprising question. Well, I think in order to have this impact, we have to extend a little bit what tariffs we are talking about. If we're talking now simply about the US tariffs and the others do nothing, or it is tariffs and there will be counter tariffs raised there, because both have different effects on price level, quite likely output, and quite likely also stress situations there. And we are just at the beginning of a, highly dynamic game. And for the time being, we have only a first bit of it. For the time being, we have very stark proposed tariffs, of which we always hear, sometimes there's room, sometimes not room for there. We have an announcement of different kind from different countries. China react against. Europe has not fully settled. Yes, we will stand up, but we will be open for negotiations. And others said immediately, trousers down, we will negotiate. So depending what kind of reaction we will show in the future, we will get a different reaction there. And it depends where the inflation is quite clear. If it only the US, has the tariffs, then quite likely the prices will raise there. And with regard to the output, it won't increase more, it may decrease out of it, quite likely. And what is important is, if we stay put, we will quite likely be impacted by negative growth, but we may also have a fall in the inflation rate, because if you want to sell an Audi, first of all, you have put already quite some investments there. All the cars for a 4-month sale have been already accumulated there. So in the US, nothing will happen. And in Europe, what we'll do, if you're Audi, you won't sell it there with a discount. You prefer to sell it at a low discount in Europe. So these are the kind of things what we have. But for the time being, we are only speculating. We're making scenarios there. We cannot do it. And for side of it, as a former professor at the university, they can speculate many things. They can entertain you the whole evening. But I'm sure you want to think more specific, which means what will happen in a few weeks down the road in Frankfurt will all be very interesting what the outcome is.
Barbara Lengerer von der APA.
I have 2 questions for you, Mr. Fletcher. First, you said you wanted Austria should aim to reduce the deficit to about 2% of the GDP.
Below 2%.
Below 2%. When do you think this could be possible for Austria? How many years would that take? And the second question is, what do you think of an EU deficit procedure? Is this a beneficial path for Austria or not? Would you recommend that?
So on the first part of this, we recommend getting below 2% of GDP over the medium term. And when we say the medium term at the IMF, typically we're talking about a time frame of between 4 to 5 years. So it's roughly within that time frame. We think it would be useful to bring the deficit below 2% of GDP to put the debt ratio back on a downward path. In terms of excessive deficit procedure, I mean, you may have seen that the deficit outturn for last year came in at 4.7% of GDP. And I think we and most analysts anticipate that it will remain significantly above 3% of GDP also this year. Probably more around 4% of GDP. So that would be above the normal levels, but it's of course up to the Commission and the authorities to have a discussion to decide on what that implies in terms of EU fiscal procedures.
Was it okay enough for you? Yeah. Are there any other questions? Online, I don't see any.
No second question, Mr. Murphy.
I was a traditional sort of did I understand you correctly question, but actually
Okay, in this case I give a little bit out of it. As you need to write something and something I feel well about it. As I currently see, I see no reason from deviate from a prior announcement there on the interest rates. So, but I'm willing to wait and to learn and change my opinion. But for the time being, what I've seen, I don't see a reason why I should change my opinion. If this helps you a little bit. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't think there are any further questions. Thanks for the presentation. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher, for coming. I wish you all a very nice afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you much.